Okay. Alright, so the next part we're going to do is learn how to translate a grid drawing, a picture to a drawing. I have to get my words straight. Alright, so it doesn't matter what pencil, so I have my 1.5 inch grid on my 9 by 12 piece of paper, and I started at the top, skipped one space at the very top left corner. I put A, B, C, D, and E, and then again on the left, I was at the very top, A, B, C, D, and E at the very top along the top. Skipped the first one on the left, went to the second one, started at A. It's on the left hand side of the paper. Skipped the top left again, went down one and started numbering 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I have if you count, it's a 5 by 5 square. So I'm going to get my piece of paper that I printed out for you. You should have some that are black and white and some that are colored. So depending on which one we're drawing, you have to figure out if you need the colored one or the black and white one. So for this one, I'm using the colored. Same thing goes for the black and white. So at the top, I'm going to start doing the same. I'm going to do A, B, C, D, and E. On the very top above my grid. So you have A, B, C, and D, just like my paper. Then on the left-hand side, I'm going to do number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So I have my paper, which is 1.5 inch grid, to my printout that I gave you, which is 1 inch. So we're going to start. So how do you draw? This helps with proportions, sizing, shape, so many things, and it also gets you in the habit of drawing what you see and not what you think you see. Because when you think of an apple, I'm just going to show you. I'm going to draw an apple. So what normally people do is we draw kind of a little hump at the top, maybe sides, and maybe like a round oval shape, and maybe if you want to get fancy at the bottom, you make the bottom part of the apple and you put a little stem on it and a little leaf. That's what normally people draw. It's very symmetrical, but a lot of apples, when you look at them, you get from the grocery store, they're not. So this gets you to draw what you see, not what you think you see. And that also has just developing as an artist and progressing year after year. So we're gonna start. If we go down from the first block, we're gonna look at is A1. So if we take A and 1 on the drawing paper and look at our printout, there's nothing. So we're just gonna go down the list. So B1, then again we're gonna go from B, then 1, the B1, nothing. C1, there's nothing. D1, there's a little bit of the stem at the very bottom of the paper. So we're gonna have to figure out, if we look at our paper, how far does the stem come on the line, how far up, how far across. So if you look at the line, it's almost to the edge, towards more the left than the right. So on my paper, I'm going to make sure I draw it more to the left than the right. Now, if you draw a lot enough, we can fix it if we need to adjust things later. But this just gives us a rough outline. So we're going to do the same thing. E1, there's nothing on my printout, so I'll just leave that blank. So I'll go into 2 or A2. So I'll go in A and finding that block. There's nothing on my paper printout, nothing on my paper as well. So B2, we get started at the side of the apple. We're looking at this curve. So you have to figure out how far up does this curve start on this line, the line that is, I guess, BC. So we're going to make a little dash. And also on the bottom of this square, how far does that apple start? So this also gives you how far to create your lines. How far closer, or where to position this line inside your box. So I always tell people to look at the sides of your square and figure out where does your apple and the line of the box intersect. So this makes sense? So this one's near the top, so I'm going to make a mark right there, and this one's more to the left. So I'm going to draw my line. Remember to draw light. We might have to erase and adjust some things later. We go into 2 in the letter C, C2, and we're going to continue that line. We're going to look at this line, how it goes up and down. It's like a hump of our apple. So it's almost touching this line at the top, not quite, and it's going to go back down. Alright, and if you want, we have a little bit of this inside of the stem comes into the apple at the very bottom. You can start drawing that little line. So we're going to D2. I'm going to continue with this inside part where the stem comes into the apple. So that goes back like that. And then I'm going to draw the stem. So we ought to draw the very tip top of the stem before, and we're going to connect. And it almost touches the line of the box, of the side of our box. And if we has a little bit of hump, so like I said, if we need to adjust, we can, that little tip top. So we're going to keep continuing drawing the top of the apple in D2. So then again, I'm going to look at this line where it intersects. So I say that's about halfway. Gonna make a little line just to give me a point of reference. Gonna go, has a curve down, and then it curves a little bit back up like a little hump. It goes down to there. We're going to go to E2, and I'm going to look at where this intersects. Again, it's about not quite halfway, so we can find halfway and a little bit to the left. And that's just a little curve. Alright, so we end on row 3, 3A, there's nothing, so I'm going to go to 3B, and we're going to continue the side of the apple. Look where this intersects. It's almost, let's say, about if you divide the line, so that's halfway, so it's about a fourth to the left. So I'm going to pick up on this line that we drew in B2, go to B3, it curves around. So I'm just picked up where that line is and just continue drawing down. C3, we're on the inside of the apple. I would just leave it blank for right now. We're just getting an outline. D3, again, it's just the inside of the apple, just leave it. E3, we're gonna look at this, the right side of the apple, so that's about halfway. So we're gonna make a little mark, and we're gonna pick up on this line from E2 and draw it, continue. That gives you that nice curve. So we finish with row 3. Row 4. So in row 4, we start with A4. There's nothing on our printout, so we leave it blank on our paper. B4, we can find out where that line intersects. So it's a little bit to the right of halfway. So this is about halfway, a little bit to the right, just to give us a goal to reach, to draw our line to. And then I'm picking up from the block before and just carrying that line down from B3 to B4, just to give us a nice smooth line. C4, it's the inside of the apple, just leave that alone for right now. D4, again, it's the inside of the apple, just leave that alone. E4, on the right side of the edge, we're going to find that intersect, where it intersects. It's almost a little bit, about a fourth of the way, or a little bit closer to the line. So it's about half, it's about a quarter. So I'm going to pick up where this line is on the block before, just to carry that line down and make it smooth and nice and rounded. Alright, I got one more row to do. We're going to go to number 5, row 5. Nothing, again, on a printout there's nothing there, so just leave it blank. B5, we're going to the bottom of the apple. So we're going to find out where this intersects, right here. And find out where this intersects with our paper. That's about halfway, so we're going to just make a little mark. Let's see, about halfway. Again, I'm going to pick up the line above it just to have a smooth line. Next is 5, C5. That's where this line at the bottom of the apple intersects, or side of the line of our box. So that's about a third. I'm going to guess about a third. So let's say about right there. So we're going to look at the bottom of the apple. It goes down, then it goes a little bit up. So we're going to go down a little bit, then it starts coming back up a little bit. Again, if you don't line enough, if you make a mistake, you can erase it. Alright, so we're going to go to 5D. Look at where it intersects again. So it's almost at the top, like a quarter of the way from the top. So we're going to look at the line starts to go up. From the previous box, it goes up. Then it starts coming back down like a little, then it starts going up again. And then the last block, 5E, it just connects. Alright, so that's our basic apple shape. Also, I want you to notice, if you want to, we can start putting in the shadow. The shape of the shadow is important too. When we look at something, if we want to draw that in, we can go back to 5C and start, and it just carries along the bottom, then at the top. So it's kind of like an oval shape. It's important that we start noticing the shape of our shadows. So we have that in. So this is how we take a picture, have a gridded picture, and translate it into a drawing.